I always wanted to be a father. I grew up in a broken home, alcoholic dad, absent mom, cold foster families. So when I met Melissa, and she said she wanted to adopt, not have her own, I thought, this is it. I found my forever person. We adopted Ava when she was 3. A quiet girl with big eyes and an attachment disorder. I didn't care, I loved her instantly. Melissa was distant, but I chalked it up to adjustment. She wasn't cruel, just cold. She'd give Ava her food, buy her toys, but never looked her in the eye. Never called her honey or sweetheart. Just Ava. It got worse. The bedtime stories stopped. The hugs stopped. And 3 months in, she told me, I think this was a mistake. I begged her to try therapy, counseling, anything. 6 months later, I came home and found a note. I can't do this. I'm not cut out for motherhood. Don't try to find me. She left me and Ava. And for a year, I tried to hold everything together. Therapy for Ava. 2 jobs. Sleepless nights. And slowly, Ava started calling me daddy again. But then one day, Ava said something that shattered my world. Why doesn't mommy want me, if I'm her sister too? I froze. What did you say, sweetheart? Ava looked up from her drawing, innocent as ever. Mommy said I was her sister. In the big fight. She yelled it before she slammed the door. I knelt beside her. You remember that? She nodded, calmly. She said she didn't want to raise her sister's child. That she wasn't cleaning up her sister's mistake. My skin went cold. Melissa had one sibling, Hannah. Her older sister. They weren't close. Hannah died 5 years ago in a car accident. No kids, I was told. At least, that's what Melissa said. That night, after Ava fell asleep, I started digging. I didn't want to believe it. But something told me not to stop. Melissa and I had adopted Ava through a private agency. Everything was legal. But when I contacted the agency, I hit a wall. They refused to give details, closed adoption, sealed files. I hired a lawyer. A week later, my lawyer called me at 8 a.m. You're going to want to sit down, he said. Your daughter was not just Melissa's niece. She was legally Melissa's ward. She took custody of her sister Hannah's child after the crash. But instead of raising her, she relinquished parental rights and disguised the whole thing as a third-party adoption. Why? I whispered. He paused. There's more. Hannah didn't die immediately. She was in a coma for 2 weeks. She left a letter naming you, her ex-boyfriend, as Ava's biological father. I couldn't breathe. What? Melissa knew, he said. She forged the original consent form to finalize the adoption through a private agency. She made sure Ava was listed as an unrelated orphan. That's not possible, I said, my voice shaking. I didn't even meet Melissa until 2 years after Hannah died. Actually, you met her 5 months before the crash. It all came rushing back. One night, years ago. A bar. A woman who looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. We talked, we drank, Oh God. I never knew her name that night. But I remembered her laugh now. It had been Hannah. Ava was my daughter. My knees buckled. Melissa had known. This entire time, she knew Ava was her sister's child. And mine. And she'd lied, faked an adoption, and walked out the moment I got too close to Ava emotionally. I sat on the floor for hours, just staring at the documents. Ava wasn't just my adopted daughter. She was my blood. And Melissa had stolen that truth from me. I called her. No answer. I tried again. Voicemail. I finally sent one message. I know everything. You lied. You knew she was Hannah's. You knew she was mine. Her reply came 3 hours later. Just 4 words. You were never supposed to know. I swear, my vision went red. I wanted to drive to her apartment and scream. I wanted to sue her, expose her, destroy her. But instead, I looked at Ava. She was asleep on the couch, curled up with her elephant, her hair messy, lips slightly open. And I made a promise. No more lies. Not for her. Not ever again. I filed for full legal guardianship and started the process to overturn the fraudulent adoption records. That's when Melissa snapped. She sent me a letter through her lawyer, threatening to sue for custody. Her claim? The father is mentally unfit, emotionally obsessive, and fabricating stories to manipulate the child. She wanted Ava back, not because she loved her, but because she refused to lose. I was ready to fight. But I had no idea the next move wasn't hers. A week later, someone left an envelope in my mailbox. No return address. Inside, a USB stick. One file. A hidden camera recording from 4 years ago. From Hannah's hospital room. I hesitated. My hands were shaking. I pressed play. Hannah lay in the hospital bed, weak, tubes everywhere. Melissa stood beside her, younger, angrier. You're going to ruin everything if you tell him, Melissa hissed. Hannah turned her head, barely able to speak. He has a right to know. No. He doesn't. He was just a drunk hookup to you. You don't even know him. Hannah coughed, voice trembling. He wasn't a hookup. I loved him. Melissa's face turned stone cold. If you name him in the custody letter, I swear I'll make sure your daughter ends up in foster care. Hannah sobbed. Melissa stood over her and whispered. I'll raise her. No one else. Or no one at all. The screen went black. I stared at the monitor, my heart in my throat. Melissa hadn't just lied. She had threatened her dying sister. She'd stolen Ava from me. And the worst part? She never loved her. I turned the footage over to my lawyer. He said, this changes everything. The court date was set. Melissa was challenging my guardianship. She demanded joint custody. Her new lawyer tried to spin the narrative. My client suffered from complicated grief. Her actions were not malice, but mourning. Mourning? Melissa had threatened her dying sister. She'd abandoned Ava. And now she was painting herself as a victim? My lawyer, Tom, leaned in and whispered. Don't worry. We have enough. That video alone could bury her. But Melissa had come prepared. She brought a psychologist to testify that Ava was suffering from overattachment to me and that I might be projecting my need for family onto her. I wanted to scream. The court allowed supervised visitation pending the final decision. Ava refused to speak during the first visit. Melissa brought presents, dolls, dresses, candy. Ava just sat, silent, holding her stuffed elephant like a shield. Then she said one thing. Why do you pretend to love me now? I wasn't allowed to intervene, just watch behind glass. Melissa froze. What do you mean, baby? Ava looked up. Calm. Quiet. Piercing. You used to say I ruined your life. That night, Ava had another nightmare. She woke up screaming, soaked in sweat. She kept repeating the same word. Foster. I held her for hours. You're never going back, I promised. You're home now. I didn't care about legal risks anymore. I sent the hospital footage to CPS. I sent it to the judge. A week later, a surprise witness was added to the case. Nurse Laura, the one who had been there the night Hannah died. She took the stand and said. Hannah whispered a name before the monitors flatlined. She said, tell Eric. Tell him she's his. That name never made it into the official record. Because Melissa had already deleted it. The courtroom fell silent. The judge looked stunned. Melissa just sat there. No tears. No apologies. Just silence. Then Ava spoke. The judge allowed her to say something only if she wanted. She stepped up. Just 8 years old. Voice trembling. I don't want her to be my mom. A beat. She scares me. She said I wasn't her real daughter. That I was punishment. Then she turned, walked back, and sat in my lap. The judge took off her glasses. I've heard enough. Final ruling. Full legal custody to me. Melissa's parental rights terminated. Permanently. No visitation. No contact. The adoption was to be finalized immediately. I would become Ava's legal father, as I should have been all along. Melissa stood up and started yelling. Screaming about conspiracies. About betrayal. Security escorted her out. Ava didn't flinch. That night, we danced in the living room. Ava in her pajamas. Me in a wrinkled t-shirt. No music. Just us. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a broken man. I felt like a father. It's been almost a year since the final hearing. Ava is 9 now. She laughs louder. Sleeps deeper. Doesn't ask about Melissa anymore. Doesn't wake up screaming. Some nights, she still talks in her sleep. I sit by her door, just listening. It's a ritual I can't give up. Her room is painted purple now. The elephant still sits by her pillow, old, stitched, but loved. We do bedtime stories every night. No phones. No distractions. Just us. Sometimes she reads to me. She started calling me Dad without hesitation a few months ago. Then added my favorite person on her own. I cried in the kitchen that night, quietly, so she wouldn't see. Melissa tried to send letters. All were returned unopened. She filed one last appeal, denied within 10 minutes. According to a friend, she's left the state. No contact. No apology. No closure. I'm okay with that. Some stories don't need a final chapter, just a closed door. A few months ago, Ava asked if we could go visit Hannah's grave. She stood there silently for a while. Then whispered, I think I remember your voice. I didn't know if she meant Hannah or me. I didn't ask. I just held her hand. And then, something happened I didn't expect. I met someone. Her name is Claire. She's kind. Patient. Doesn't try to fix anything. Ava likes her. No pressure. No rush. Just soft healing. Last week Ava looked at Claire and said, You can sit with us. You don't have to be my mom. Just someone who stays. I turned away and wiped my eyes. Ava is my daughter. She wasn't born in my arms. She was delivered to me through fire. Through loss. Through war. But she's mine. And every day, when I pack her lunch, tie her shoes, braid her hair. I know what Hannah meant in that letter she never got to send. Give her a life with love. I hope I'm doing that. Because in the end, being her dad is the only thing I've ever done right. If this story moved you, support the channel. It helps us create more real and powerful content. Up next, another story, just as shocking. I always thought my grandparents were the definition of love. 50 years of marriage. 2 kids. 4 grandkids. Dozens of holidays, warm hugs, and bedtime stories. They were the rock of our family. Unshakable. Unbreakable. Then Grandpa Joe had a stroke. A massive one. We all rushed to the hospital, bracing ourselves for the worst. But what came next wasn't death. It was something stranger. Something darker. While Grandpa Joe lay in the hospital bed, weak and confused, Grandma Rose began acting strange. Quiet. Withdrawn. Her eyes, distant. Like she was somewhere else entirely. I thought it was stress. Until Grandpa whispered something to me. Late one night, I sat by his side. He suddenly grabbed my wrist, fragile but focused. His lips trembled as he whispered. The letters, blue box, fireplace. Then he slipped back into unconsciousness. I had no idea what it meant. Not yet. But that moment, that sentence, would change everything I believed about my family. Forever. The next morning, I went back to my grandparents' house. Alone. Grandpa Joe's whisper haunted me. The letters, blue box, fireplace. It echoed in my head like a riddle. Their house smelled like cinnamon and dust. Everything looked so normal. So still. But something felt off. I walked to the fireplace. Looked around. And that's when I noticed the cabinet. It wasn't locked. Inside, just photo albums, cards, old newspapers. But one floorboard beneath it looked newer. Slightly raised. I pressed it. Click. Underneath was a metal box. Dusty. Blue. I opened it slowly. And inside were dozens of letters. Some tied with ribbon. Some stuffed with dried flowers. All of them were written by Grandma Rose. But not a single one was addressed to Grandpa Joe. I pulled out the first letter. My dearest William. Last night, when I lay beside him, I imagined it was you. I could feel your breath again, even if only in memory. I froze. What the hell was this? Another letter. Do you remember the hotel in Vienna? How we laughed, knowing it wouldn't last. I see you, in our grandson's eyes. I couldn't breathe. Grandson? Was she talking about me? Was William my real grandfather? I dug deeper. Letters from the 70s, 80s, even this year. The most recent, 6 months ago, said. He turned 25 today. I wonder if you'd tell him the truth. I wonder if I ever will. I slammed the lid shut. Shaking. Confused. Sick. I put everything back. Exactly where I found it. Didn't tell a soul. Because deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. The next day, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I drove to the house. Didn't knock. Didn't call. I found Grandma Rose in the kitchen, pouring tea. She smiled. But something in her eyes knew. I didn't sit down. I didn't even breathe properly. I found the blue box, I said. Silence. She gently placed the teapot down. You weren't supposed to open it, she whispered. I didn't care. Who is William? Were you in love with him? Her voice shook. Before Joe, before everything, he was mine. He was passion. Fire. Your grandfather was safety. Home. So what does that make me? I snapped. A mistake? His grandson? Or William's? Tears welled up in her eyes. Real ones. Heavy. You were always loved, she said. I never meant for this to touch you. I walked out. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't slam the door. But something inside me slammed shut. That night, I couldn't sleep. So I ordered a DNA test. A week later, the results arrived. I opened them with shaking hands. No biological match detected with Joseph R. Miller. Grandpa Joe wasn't my real grandfather. I stared at the screen for minutes. Then hours. Then cried like I hadn't since I was a kid. Not just for me. But for Grandpa Joe. The man who had no blood tie to me. but raised me like his own. 2 days after I got the DNA results, Grandpa Joe passed away. Peacefully. In his sleep. No warning. No goodbyes. Just silence. At the wake, Grandma Rose sat motionless beside his casket. She looked like a ghost. Small. Hollow. Like the weight of secrets had finally crushed her. Then she handed me an envelope. "He left this for you," she whispered. Inside was a handwritten letter. Blue ink. His handwriting. My throat tightened as I unfolded it. "If you're reading this, I'm gone. I know about the box. The letters. William. Yes, I always knew. But none of it changes what we had. You were always my grandson. DNA doesn't define love. You do. Every fishing trip, every laugh, every lesson that was real. I chose you. Over and over." Tears fell before I could even finish. That letter was the most honest thing I'd ever read. And it broke me. I don't know if I've forgiven Grandma Rose. Some days, I hate her. Other days, I ache for her. But Grandpa Joe's words stay in my heart. You define love. And maybe that's enough.